This episode of the AnimeCons.com podcast is brought to you by our friends at The Right Stuff International.
Coming up on the show, Doug decides to test Otakon's EMTs. Elizabeth helps you prepare for Judgment Day. We get an email from a Doug fan. What? But with almost all the large cons behind us this year, it's a slow news month for announcements. I'm Sketch, and this is the AnimeCons.com podcast for September 2010. Here are new guest announcements from anime conventions. Robert Ian Cox, Patrick Seitz, and Chris Kaysen will make an appearance at this year's Nundescon. The Robotech 25th Anniversary Convention Tour with Steve Yoon and Tommy Yoon will also be at the convention. New Hampshire's Another Anime Convention has announced guests including Robert Axelrod, Michelle Pinard, the Comical Girls, and the world's most awesome guest ever, me! Okay, I'm sorry, I have to cut that one out. Robert Sketch Schultz will also be at the con. AUC will also mark the start of Zamza's US tour. Nekocon has announced that the Soundbead HD will be performing at their convention this November in Hampton, Virginia. For more announcements and updates, visit AnimeCons.com.
So at the end of July, beginning of August, Elizabeth and I went to Otakon. Again, this was my 10th year, and this was your third year. So it was a pretty good event. It was one of the best Otakons I've ever been to. And they had just shy of 30,000 people.
Yeah. Didn't feel like it, though. It was a big jump from last year, but didn't seem quite as crowded. Yeah. It helps that they have the events that's in the Hilton now, which connects by a sky bridge. So it allows them to have more big panels, because there's some pretty big ballrooms that they use for panels there. It allows people to kind of expand past just the convention center, because it has a lot of bottleneck areas, unfortunately. But it was good that that was their second year in the Hilton, that they're able to use that space as well.
Yeah, I think now that they've been there for a year, they definitely know how to use that space more efficiently. I mean, they had one screening room that was as large as yeah. So, I mean, we kind of split off and did in different directions a lot of times. What were some of the things you did that were really fun?
We went to Mike Sinner-Nicholas's panel about the industry, which was really cool. Yeah. That was Friday morning. He explained a lot of the insides of the industry past just voice acting, because he does pretty much everything. So it was good to see, how they get titles and how they market titles and how they do this and that. And it was really cool insight, and if you ever have a chance to see him talk about the industry, you definitely should.
Yeah, he definitely had a really nice mix of both informative and entertaining, which I think a lot of panels sometimes forget. Some people have panels where they just kind of goof off the entire time, and other ones where it's people just kind of droning on. But he had a really nice mix, and he really engaged the audience, really played off that. So. And another thing that you and I both did was we did the Hetalia mock United Nations, which was hilarious. I'd love to see them take this idea further and not just do it with Hetalia, but maybe have like other fictional countries, like say have Principality of Xi'an from Gundam and the Kingdom of Finalia from Escaflowne in a mock UN, and just see what kind of chaos ensues, because I think it really gets a lot of people engaged, both the people performing as well as the audience.
Yeah, they did a good job of representing the countries, and I've only seen a little bit of Hetalia, but it was still hilarious from what I've seen, because the whole show plays off stereotypes in a very hilarious way. So they were able to use that, and they did a good job of having an event where if you haven't seen the show, it still makes sense and it's funny. And they had a lot of Hetalia events going on all weekend, because they premiered the dub. They had almost all the main voice actors except for Eric Bale, who's America. So that was really cool to see a big group of the voice actors. We did go to some voice acting things too. We stopped in at Male Flanagan's, who's Naruto. She was pretty funny, and it was cool. All the I'm not a big Naruto fan, but all the fans were like so excited to see her, and that's always really cool to see. Is people excited to see voice actors they're fans of, and then Todd Habercorner's hilarious.
Yeah.
And then we went to a dubbing panel on Sunday.
Yeah, this was also with Mike Sinter-Nicholas. Like, he actually brought clips of Gundam Unicorn, and I mean, I have to say, the guys made me want to rewatch it because he really talked about all the details and how much planning went into it. But then not only are you getting people to try out what voice acting, it's not just a dubbing event. Like, he had all the details from the little beeps before the cues and all the little notes and explained every little detail. It was a lot, just really neat to see how much work really goes into it. And I don't think a lot of people realize how much they have to do.
We didn't see very long, but the people we did see actually did a really good job.
Yeah, this.
And you went to AMV's.
AMV's is always one of my favorite things to do at a convention. And I mean, the action category always feels kind of flat, but I think overall the AMVs this year were really solid. I mean, there was one AMV called Children of Daikon, which was all Gainax AMVs, and it was set to ELO's Twilight, which is sort of how Gainax got their start as an animation studio. They did an opening animation for Daikon, and it was all stuff set to Twilight. So it was really nice to see kind of someone get a cool concept and really go with it. The only problem with that was the preload for the event was also a montage set to Twilight, so you kind of like you needed something different, and I feel that was a bit of a blunder on someone not planning things, but they had a lot of just really good stuff, and the room was great, fantastic for it. I mean, the main events down there, I mean, and then some great trivia slides. Like, they pointed out that the original Otakon, you could fit more than 7 of it in just the main events room.
Oh, wow.
So it just shows you how much the convention has grown over the years.
And the staff for the convention I thought was very helpful, and everyone I saw was just great. And you had an experience.
Oh yeah, I had a great experience where I was going through that sky bridge and I lost my footing on a stairwell and cut up these 2 fingers. You can probably maybe still see a little bit of the scratches pretty nicely, and so I had to get my fingers all gauzed up and everything, and I walked to the info desk, holding my hand as it's bleeding, like, do you have a first aid station? And they were like, yep, right down that way. And first aid staff were phenomenal, took care of me. They're like, if you have any other problems, just let us know. If you just need it rebandaged, come by, we'll take care of you. And they I won't say they made it fun, but they made it kind of an unpleasant experience much more bearable. So, and they joked with me, they were saying, how many years have you been going to Otakon? I'm like, this is my 10th year. And it's like, first time injured? Like, man, it took us 10 years to draw blood from you. So they were very friendly and very helpful.
Staff definitely had their hands full when someone decided to pull the fire alarm. I was not at the convention center when that happened. But.
Yeah, I wasn't either. I was coming back from lunch in the Inner Harbor, but I mean, the staff did the best they could. I mean, it kind of pointed out a flaw that I think a lot of conventions don't think about because they don't want to think about of what if we have to evacuate the building. But for the most part, staff did the best job they could given the circumstances, and I got to give a lot of credit to the attendees here. A lot of people just kind of took it in stride, said, oh, well, it's almost lunchtime, we'll go get lunch, or just hung out front, took pictures of cosplay and everything. Like, I got some great cosplay pictures just because everyone was out there. So people just kind of rolled with it, which was fantastic. I'd expect, everyone to be upset, so everyone just kind of laughed about it.
Yeah, but whoever did that.
Yeah.
Yeah, not cool. But I missed it because I was judging craftsmanship for the Masquerade, which is in the marina, which is a great facility for them to have, and because it has over 10,000 seats for them to use, so you don't have to worry really about a line forming the Masquerade where people are afraid of not being able to get a seat. You can just walk in like 5 minutes before, and they have huge screens up at the side, just like at a concert. And speaking of concerts, they had X Japan there, 2 members of X Japan performing just on piano and violin during after all of the skits were done, which was really cool to see. I'd never really listened to X Japan before, but it seems like they're pretty big.
Yeah.
Pretty big deal.
They're kind of a big deal.
Kind of a big deal.
But and you mentioned the First Mariner Arena. That is one of the things that really helps Otakon be as successful as it is its location. You have tons of hotels, plenty of food options. I mean, if you're going hungry at this convention, it's your own fault because there are so many options. There's a food court if you want something fast. There's places like Cheesecake Factory or Uno's if you actually want to sit down and have a regular meal. And it's nice to get away from kind of the convention center food, which is expensive, and you get kind of tired of chicken tenders for every meal.
Yeah. Some of the cool stuff is at night. They have these street vendors that come out that sell all these flashy cool things people buy from the raid.
Yeah.
And ice cream trucks.
And ice cream
That's
trucks.
pretty cool.
They have the line of ice cream trucks. They must make a killing. And then you've got the people selling just bottles of water for $1, which you really can't beat.
Yeah. The only problem I really had is with their dealer's room line. There's only really one way to get in the dealer's room and one way to get out, which if it's your first year at Otakon, you're in the dealer's room, I can't get out, oh my god, what's going on? But the problem is, it opens at 12 on Friday, so we went at 1? There's still a line. Waited, alright, let's get lunch. Went back at 2, there's still a line. I mean, it's a moving line, and it took 5 minutes for me to get in, but still it's kind of alright, they gotta do something.
It's probably the biggest bottleneck of the convention. And it's a shame too, because the dealer's room at Otakon, especially this year, was one of the best ones I've seen in a while. I think a lot of vendors kind of brought their A game and had not only a lot of merchandise, but a lot of different merchandise. I saw a good variety of things for sale, which is something I think some people are kind of shying away from. They're taking fewer risks and only going with the standbys, which I understand. From one side, they get a guaranteed sale, but at the other time, if everyone has the same thing, how much are they really going to make when they don't have a unique item?
Yeah, but I think if they got rid of a row or two and spread stuff out, it'd be a little bit better, because it is pretty tasty.
Yeah.
But overall, I really enjoyed Otakon, and we already have a hotel room booked for next year.
Yeah, already booked next year. So
hopefully we'll see you there.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you're going to be entering a masquerade at an anime convention, you have the option of doing craftsmanship judging. This is where the judges will look at your costumes up close to see how they were made. If you're doing this for the first time, it can seem overwhelming and a little intimidating. So here's what you can expect when you get your costume judged for craftsmanship. First of all, and this is most important, read the rules. Then read them again. Carefully. The masquerade director puts a lot of work into creating these rules, and it will answer 99% of the questions you may have. It'll also explain what division you're in. It's usually novice, intermediate, or journeyman, craftsmanship, or just novice and advanced. It's based on how many awards you've won in the past. So check the rules to see what your division you're in. When your costume will be judged, it depends on the convention. A lot of times it'll be the same day as the masquerade, usually Saturday, or sometimes it's the day before. Again, this will be in the rules. And make sure you show up for your time. You might want to show up a little bit early just in case, but don't be late or you might get disqualified. You want to bring a picture of what you're cosplaying with you. It should be at least one full-length color photo that shows the whole outfit, and if you can, something of the back. The judges, don't know what every costume looks like, and even if it's someone like Naruto or Vash's Stampede that pretty much everybody knows, they're not going to remember everything from memory, like exactly how many buttons are on Vash's coat or anything like that. So it's very important to bring a picture so they know what you're recreating. And it should be an actual picture, not a picture on your laptop or an art book, because they're probably going to hold on to it and don't expect to get the photo back. Now, you're not expected to make every single part of your costume. No one expects you to cobble your shoes or put together your wig yourself, but craftsmanship is about making your costume. So if you bought or commissioned your costume, you will not be eligible for craftsmanship. However, if the person who made it, say it's your friend, if they want to go into judging, they can, as long as they're not part of another group or anything like that. So they can be eligible for the award. Or if it's someone else in your group that made the costume, that's totally fine. Even if you just made one thing, like your jacket or even your prop, bring that in, because you could, win an award for that, like, best prop or something like that. So it's a good experience as well. But if they find out that you got something judged that you didn't make yourself, you have run the risk of being disqualified. Now, a good idea of what to do is to make a list of what you made for your costume. I think it's a good idea to start from head to toe, from your wig to your shoes, so you don't forget anything. And some conventions, especially sci-fi conventions and costume conventions, like to see documentation. It's not seen a lot of anime conventions, but it's really cool to see as a judge how you made your costume. Things like sketches, progress pictures, notes, fabric samples, details, things that show the progression of your costume and how you made it. Now the judges will expect you to do most of the talking, but they'll ask you questions like, which parts are purchased and what did you make from scratch? What was difficult? What did you learn? What are you most proud of? What kind of patterns did you use? Did you make your own? Did you modify store-bought patterns? What kind of fabrics did you use? What kind of stitches did you use? What kind of hand sewing did you use? Finishing? What did you do for your wig? Did you style it, dye it, your makeup? Everything like that. They really want to know what you did for your costume. So I brought an example of one I recently made. This is Mio from K-On! From the Don't Say Lazy video in the ending song. It was a simple thing for a gathering, so I just happened to have it on me. So if I were doing craftsmanship judging, this is what I would do. I'd probably start at the top with her hat. So she has a hat that she wears like this. It's just made out of felt. There's a hard layer of felt, and then a soft layer to give it stability, and then the soft felt on top. And just some ribbon. It's felt and hot glue. Goes on with bobby pins. The wig I bought at Dorothy Wigs in Boston. And then all I did was cut out the side bangs. Other than that, it's just as is. The dress I made using 2 separate patterns. The top was a New Look pattern that had the halter that I needed. I extended the bodice a little bit to make it wider. It was about here. And then the bottom was a Butterick pattern, one of the old 50s styles dresses. And it's gathered all along the bodice here. It's gathered here. And then I added this ruffle, which I just cut out some extra fabric and gathered it. And then I fused the gather here. If you look on the inside, it's serged all up and down here. And it's just hemmed around at the bottom, just a simple stitch at the bottom to hem it. The back, it has a sash and then a bow that ties on. She has a big bow in the back. Underneath, to give it some volume, made a little 2-layer petticoat, because in the pictures you see she has 3 layers underneath. It just goes on with elastic waistband. And then she wears blue tights and has a blue armband. These I purchased from We Love Colors, so I could get them the same color. And the shoes, she has a black pair of heels, rounded toe, and they're supposed to be an ankle strap, but I couldn't find a pair. So what I do is I just put a piece of ribbon that velcros in the back when I wear them to kind of make up for that. So that's pretty much it. Has a zipper in the back, just a regular center zipper, and this won't stay up. So, it's a pretty simple costume, so that's all there really is to explain about it. Now, what you want to do when you explain it is don't explain things you did wrong. So, for example, see in the back here, you can't really see it, but my seams don't match up, which made me mad. But I wouldn't say that to a judge. They don't say what you did wrong. Say what you did right. Explain what you liked about your costume. If you needed to make modifications, say the skirt was too short for your liking, or your character has floor-length hair like Ryder from Fate Stay Night, you really only want to deal with like a hip-length wig. You can explain that, but don't explain where you messed up or anything like that. They probably won't notice. And lastly, read the rules. Again, you want to, that way you know how things are going to go. But masquerades run differently at each convention, so be sure to read those rules and don't go on past experiences from other conventions.
I have a love-hate relationship with the Right Stuff International. I love how you can get titles 40% off. They have a bargain bin, stuff you can't find anywhere else. I hate how they take my money. So to get a great deal on anime and support our podcast at the same time, visit trsi.animecons.com.
This month's email comes from Greg. He writes, I'm sure that Doug knew that this was coming. I would like to report on some of the things I noticed about Doug. Aside from the public drunkenness, Doug was in clear violation of using pickup lines that are clearly outdated. While trying to get his Mac on, he accidentally tripped a fire alarm. After that, he got kicked out of the con. Later that evening, I saw him begging for some change around the inner harbor. So if you may have noticed, I have a bit of imagination. I actually met Doug while gearing up for the AMV contest on Saturday. We chatted for a minute or two, and then the contest began. I glanced over once or twice to see how he was enjoying the AMVs. Then even before the lights were turned up, he was off. I suppose he had work to do, but I wanted to let everyone know that he wasn't slacking off too much. Thanks for all the hard work making the podcast. And next time, Doug will have to hit the bar. I'm sure you've got some great convention stories. Well, thanks, Greg. I mean, it's true that Doug was charged with possession by consumption after the con, and I have borne witness to him, in public intoxication and macking on several underage women at times, but this case is still pending, so we really can't comment right now. If you would like to throw a question our way, email us at podcast@animecons.com or leave us a voicemail at 762-ADEQUATE. That's 762-233-7828.
Yeah, all that stuff about Doug, totally true. Totally happened at Otakon.
Follow us on Twitter and Facebook and join our forums at these links here. Download all our past episodes from iTunes for freezies, or refer to the show's notes on animecons.com/podcast. If you're at a con and see something exciting, call us up and leave us a voicemail at 762-ADEQUATE. That's 762-233-7828. And in next month's episode, we'll sit down and talk about what makes Dragon Con so good.
You totally made the Doug face when you said
I know. What? And in next month's episode, we'll sit down and talk about what makes Dragon Con so good.
So good.
So good!
Oh no, stop!
Hey, Caroline. Ba, ba, ba.
Shut up, you pig hat! Hey!
Oh.
And the world's most awesome guest ever, Robert Skeet Schultz. Me, Rob Schultz.